Dean's already on the.
Lights.
All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and all you beautiful truffle foragers out there. This is a brand new episode of Buzz Bites. We are talking about a very special film, but we have a very special guest with us tonight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Lorraine, also known as Cookie Munster on Twitter, and I love this movie. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Our
Yes,
pleasure.
this of course is the Michael Sonarski directed film Pig, starring Nicolas Cage, which is probably one of his most interesting films, which is saying something because Nick has been in some very interesting stuff lately, but this film just really outdoes everything else. I mean, even things like Mandy that like push visual limits, I find that this film goes past that because I mean, this does have a strange scenario and its own type of narrative, but it is a beautiful film about true human interactions and the way people treat each other. And I think it goes places that I've never seen another film go to. And oh man, it busts me up, but it makes me feel so good inside when I watch it. Like, how do you guys feel about this film before we kind of get into it?
I'll let you go first, Cookie, because you're the Pig super fan.
Yeah, apparently. No, well, I went into it thinking it was going to be like Taken meets Mandy, and I was expecting something just crazy stupid, and it totally just blew me out of the water because it's so much more than that. And Nick Cage did something so mellow and nuanced. It was, and the performance was just amazing. It shocked me.
Yeah, I
So,
think nuanced is the perfect description for his performance
mm,
in this movie. It's very, compared to a lot of the stuff he's been doing recently, more eccentric, over the top kind of stuff. And like you said, it's much more nuanced, much more subtle. And I think, like you said, he does a fantastic job. I haven't seen him do a role like this, more subdued, more emotionally, like inward kind of role like this since maybe the '90s, man. Like, and it's nice to
yeah.
see him get back into a more dramatic role where he can really like make you feel like emotion, like emotional, and really get you in the heart. Really drags you in emotionally, and he does a fantastic job. He accomplishes that gangbusters in this
Hmm.
movie.
Yeah, he breaks
Absolutely.
your heart in this stronger than he does even in like Leaving Las Vegas, which I thought would just be impossible. But there's just something so stoic about the character of Robin that he plays in this film that like just the presence of the man and just his filthy form, you know what I mean? Like it just grows on you, and then he just kind of becomes this force of goodness in this weird way in this film. And um
Yeah.
kind of just getting into the plot and scenario, Cookie, why don't you kind of break down the film for us a little bit, if you don't mind?
Sure. So Nick Cage is kind of a recluse out in a cabin in the woods. He has a pig, he does the truffle hunting, and you come to find that someone is coming to his house like once a week to get, truffles from him, I guess, for money, supplies, whatever he needs. And then his pig gets taken, gets stolen, and it just becomes this kind of whirlwind crazy story, a very understated crazy story, but him trying to get his pig back
Mm. And
basically.
yeah, like he's like you say, he's a recluse. Because which leads him to this is because his wife passes away, and he just cuts off his life completely from what he knew with his wife. Because I gather they were partners in the restaurant that they ran. He's a renowned chef, I think it takes place. Is it in Cleveland?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Portland. Yeah, and so he is like this chef of great renown, and then he just disappears off from the grid. And like you say, he ends up in the woods, and how he survives is just by selling truffles to a young guy who's just starting out in the business, like supplying people with these hard to find, precious, very expensive truffles for restaurants. And that's where the story starts to take a twist. And he's kind of the catalyst for the pig being kidnapped, because unknowingly, his father is, I guess he's kind of seedy. I guess he like black market stuff.
Like the drug lord of truffles.
Yeah, exactly. Like the culinary godfather, like. So, and this is his son who, he has to prove himself before he can get into the family business. And when he first meets this Cage, I guess he lets it slip to his father. I found this guy. He's supplying me with these things. And that's how his father gets word. And his father sets up for this pig to get kidnapped because he wants to profit from all this pig that can find these very valuable truffles. And so Nick Cage comes back to the city. And then you get to see the underbelly of the culinary world, which is where it gets a little wacky, like you said, which is pretty. I don't know if any of it is based on reality. I'd hope not, because I don't know what's that underground? I don't even know what you call it. It's not a fight club.
Oh, like the chef fight club or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know I wouldn't even call it a fight club. It's more like who can take the biggest beating and keep going. It is pretty brutal. That was probably like the most brutal scene in the like physically brutal scene in the whole movie, not emotionally, but there's some crazy stuff in there that's just a trip to watch. Yeah.
But the whole idea of the culinary underworld was just really clever, I thought. And I think the movie has just this very, very beautiful visual style to it, but also its sound design is great. I mean, like there's a lot of quiet time in the film, but it is filled with just this wonderful atmosphere that just permeates the whole movie. And I don't know, I don't think I've seen another film like this in a long time. And how did you guys feel about just the atmosphere of the film? Did you guys really get taken in by that too?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, definitely.
Like the cinematography was nice. The choice of lighting, the set scenes. Like even when he first gets introduced, he goes to like the what do you call it? A food bank or whatever. It's almost like a food bank. The guy's
like a
in
farmer's
a tent.
market or whatever that was.
Yeah, something like that. And when he meets the first guy, who's like, "Oh, like you don't know who this is." Like, and like Amir is the kid's name. I believe it's Amir. Yeah, the kid's name. And he doesn't know. Yeah, Amir. And he doesn't know that, Nick Cage used to be like the hottest shit in Portland when it comes to culinary food, right? So, and like, so for this whole time, he's big shit right from the beginning when he first gets into and I think is it Dennis, or I can't remember the guy's name, but so Nick Cage used to he was a heavy hitter back in the day, but and they just pull the curtain back little bit by little bit, letting you see kind of what's going on, and the progression of that is fantastic. Like they don't rush it. They leave the mystery there for you to uncover slowly at the same time as Amir does. So you're kind of following almost like Amir's story, because you're learning everything at the same time as Amir is, which is a great part. And Amir is played by Alex Wolff, and I think he does a fantastic job in this movie as well. You probably anyone might be familiar with him from one of my other favorite movies in recent years is Hereditary. I love that horror flick. It's such a good movie. He's also been in Old, which not a lot of people enjoyed, and he was in those Jumanji movies as well. So he's been around. You've seen him in a lot of stuff. And his father's played by Adam Arkin. This guy's a veteran actor. You've probably seen him in a million things. Yeah, like I think one of his longest running things was maybe in Chicago Hope back in the day. He's been in Sons of Anarchy, Justified. He's been in everything. Law and Order, you name it. He's probably had at least one episode where he's been a guest actor or guest character in it. So,
Yeah.
and
And
he's a
his dad is comedian Alan Arkin, which is pretty cool. So like he's a
okay,
kind of a legacy actor.
okay,
So he's
yeah, and yeah,
Dynasty of
yeah,
greatness.
yeah. So like, and it's like there's a large cast, but they all have extremely small roles. Where pretty much Nick Cage, Alex Wolff, and Adam Arkin are pretty much the main players who have a significant role in this. So yeah, and they do a fantastic job. All three of them are fantastic in this movie. And yeah, like when he meets Darius is his name, I believe, the father. Where he tries to when he wants to find his pig, and it's revealed that the father was involved in it, and you think something's gonna happen, and all he does is resort to what he knows best, right? What does he know best? Cooking. So instead of threatening him and this and that, this is where the movie really got me is, and they really hit it home, and it's done so well, is how food carries such like the term
emotional
comfort.
weight.
Yeah, an emotional connection to people, like comfort food. Like it brings you back to your childhood when your mom made this soup and you just eat it, and all these memories and emotions come flooding back. And they do it so masterfully in this movie where it feels so real. Like you relate so much to it. Like I think maybe not everyone has a connection to food in an emotional way like that, but I think 90% of us do have some food that you grew up with, and like every time you eat it, it just brings back wonderful memories of like your childhood or some an event in your life that you just love and cherish, and
that's what drove this story home. Is it was about like this family that only had one such memory like that, though, and that Nicolas Cage was so integrally tied to it without even knowing it, that he was so important to these people's lives for one goofy thing that he didn't even know that he did, that he was actually even after all the strife and turmoil that he goes through, able to almost save a family by a weird act of kindness, by the weird showdown, the fight scene, the cookout fight scene at the end of the film, which is I didn't see coming. Like this movie blew me away because I had never thought of resolving a situation in a revenge film the way that this one does it. And I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna lie, man. This movie brings me to tears. It's beautiful,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, that's
And
what I loved about it. Is like it so easily could have gone like the Taken route, where he's like, well, now I'm gonna get guns and the whole gang of chefs and whatever. But instead, they went like the love thy neighbor route, and he's like, I'm gonna do something nice for you. I'm gonna make you feel something, so you have some sort of empathy for what is going on with me. And it was so, it was different, and I appreciated that.
And I think I like the approach because, I mean, if you lost someone, like in a lot of movies, like you say, all right, let's gear up. We're gonna freaking arm ourselves to the teeth and go out and get revenge. But nobody does that. It's so some people may, but I think they're part of the minority. So it's a nice change of pace, and I think a lot of people did have the wrong impression of this movie. They thought it was going to be like a John Wick or a Taken, like you said, and Nicolas Cage is going to just lose his shit and go crazy on everyone, just crack some skulls. But it isn't that at all. It's such a heartfelt, and like when the scene where he goes with Amir to the restaurant and he remembers the sous chef he had from many years ago, and he's like, remembers his name, he remembers his dreams, and that was another touching scene. Like, do you actually enjoy what you're doing? Like fine cuisine. What he wanted to do was a pub. That was his passion, and he remembers that.
I love that scene.
That scene is fantastic, and that's where you really start to see Nicolas Cage's character, how kind and caring, and how every aspect, like he said, I remember every single person I've ever cooked for. Like, and just how it's just an extension of himself. Cooking for people, it's like he's giving himself emotionally. It's a piece of his soul that he's offering up to people on a plate, and it just illustrates so beautifully. Like anyone who enjoys cooking, like the joy you bring to people when you create a wonderful dish for them and they enjoy it, and you share that moment with each other. there's nothing quite like it, really. I mean, it's such a wonderful experience. Like, so like if anyone, even if you're like start cooking, learn to cook, like even simple recipes, and share it with someone, because it's such a wonderful, rewarding experience. And this movie definitely taps into that part of cooking and in sharing food and a wonderful experience with people. And this movie just nails it. Like I've never seen a movie do it as well as this one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Another neat thing you pointed out was the movie is almost more about Amir's journey than it is Robin's, and the actor Wolf, Adam Wolf,
Alex,
Alex?
yeah,
Alex.
Alex Wolf.
He is incredible because you start off the film thinking Amir is just such the little shit, dude. But by the time you're at the scene in the restaurant where he's telling the guy, like, what happened to you, man? Why didn't you do your pub? Why are you doing this? And the way he changes with him, and he becomes such just this emotional. I don't understand why this kid didn't win all the Oscars this year, man, because like he really, really, I think, as much as Nicolas Cage did, really brings the film home and buttons it up perfectly with
Mm-hmm.
his emotional performance. I mean, like he is insanely stellar in this film.
And it's just a beautiful moment at the end when he cooks the meal for his father, for Darius, when he tells him the little story when he's making breakfast. Like the one time I generally saw my parents truly happy and wonderful, he was telling the story how they went out to the city, had a meal, and they came back a little tipsy and just laughing and enjoying their company. And like that's a memory that stuck with him his whole life. And he didn't even try the food. That was just from his parents' experience of it. And then at the end, it's revealed that, you know, that was his parents. Like that's Nick Cage
Mm-hmm.
had cooked that meal for his parents. And then Nick Cage recreates that meal exactly and
Yeah.
pairs it with the exact same wine. And then when you're watching that scene and just watching him like take the food, and you just like it starts coming up into your throat, like the ball, you're like, and his reaction, he has such a physical, emotional reaction to trying that food. Like you can see all the memories and emotions just flooding back like a tidal wave over him. And Adam Arkin just does it so well. Like the shocking and jarringness of that, just the memories flooding back that he tried to turn off, to block out. But when you block these things out, you block out the bad, but you block out the good, man. You got
Mm-hmm.
to take it all in so you can remember the good things in life. And like that's what Nicolas Cage was reminding him with this meal. Like, you got to cherish those moments in life, because that's all we have left of people after they're gone is the loving memories and the great memories. And it's a shame to like block those things out. And it was such a beautiful scene in the movie that like Johnny says, man, if you watch that scene and you don't get a little tear coming out of your eye, man, I don't know what to tell you. But you got a heart made of coal, man.
Straight up.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, gearing up to do this episode, you did a little research into this subject, Joe, and you kind of discovered some neat things about the truffle industry. And
Yeah.
why don't you kind of tell the audience kind of some of the interesting things you discovered?
Because when I was doing the intro, I was looking for like JPEGs and images to throw into the intro, and I was looking for the pig itself. So then I came onto an article about the actual pig that was in the movie, and it's a pig from an Oregon farm they got called Brandy. And so I was reading the article and stuff. They go in like how Nicolas Cage handled with the pig, and I guess the pig kept biting him all the time on scene. Like the pig kept biting him, and one time it like bit him so hard it drew blood and stuff. And anyway, there was they little anecdotes about it, and I guess they trained the pig for like 3 days of training before going
I
on
think
film.
they said
This
3
wasn't,
days. Yeah.
this wasn't like a pig that was brought up to be in movies or an entertainment pig or anything. So yeah, so it was an interesting little story. And then I went on to continue on the article, and they kind of touched on the truffle industry now, how pigs aren't used anymore. Now they train dogs for truffle hunting, because pigs would, one, try to eat the truffles when they found them, and they were too how do you say that, like rough, or like because the ground's the ecosystem for truffles, the way the ground has to stay, and they're too rough and they dig up the dirt too much, where dogs are much easier to control and they're more careful about finding it. So like no one ever uses pigs anymore for truffle hunting. And actually in Italy in 1985 they made it illegal to use pigs for truffle hunting because they're destroying the ecosystem too much. And later on they go to say, yes, people do try to steal these dogs now, but in the pig and back in the day in 1984, 85 in France, someone got caught stealing or stole a pig and got caught, and he got sentenced something like close to 45 years in prison for stealing a person's truffle pig. Yeah,
Wow.
and there's like they went on to say like it's big money. So a lot of this, there is a lot of corruption and like theft and black market, and yeah, so it's pretty. It was
You
pretty
can sell
interesting
those
read.
mushrooms for some pretty good money, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So it was a fun little read, and Brady is not Brandy. I mean, is not a truffle pig. She's just a normal, pretty prestigious breed of pig, I guess. And it's a farm that prides itself on its high breeding stock of different kinds of animals. So it came from So she's from a little Oregon farm, not too far from where they filmed.
one of the most adorable little animals I ever saw, though. I'm not even
Oh
a
my
fan
God,
of
she's so
pigs,
cute.
but like, yeah, dude, stole my heart. Like,
When he
yeah,
was making the biscuits and getting flour all over her, I was like, oh my God, this is so cute.
yeah, man. I thought that was really hilarious when you were telling me last night that, yeah, dude, like it actually gets pretty serious in the truffle industry that like people be stealing each other's animals and it kind of reminded me of when I was a kid when because I grew up in California. It's kind of calmed down since it's legalized, but there was some certain counties that you didn't go messing around in that grew certain horticulture up there that, yeah, that got pretty serious that you wouldn't think potheads would be that violent, but yeah, it's always kind of funny to
Money.
me when you find about stuff like that.
Oh, when it comes down to money, man, people get pretty. Their darker sides come out for a lot of people
Yeah.
when money is involved. Yeah.
We got an interesting comment from Norton Sinclair. Do you recognize Martin Pritchard from P?
Au pied de cochon. It's the pig's foot in Montreal.
Are you familiar with that, Joey?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with that. No.
Okay, it must be a real life type of thing that kind of happened with a character kind of like the one that Nicolas Cage portrayed.
No, I'd
But
have to. I'd have to. Is that a? I don't know if is that a movie or a book.
I don't know. Hey, Dean, if you're still there, man, let us know a little bit about the situation you commented about earlier. We're pretty interested in that.
Mm, yeah, because if it's actually based on something in Montreal, I don't know. I'd have to go check, see if it's a restaurant or. Oh, it's an actual restaurant. I'd have to go check to see if it's still open because COVID shut a lot of shit down, so I don't even know if it's still open. Mm.
What are
Like
you
right
making?
now, you can't even eat in restaurants right now in Quebec. So yeah,
Wow.
because of COVID, our restaurants got hit hard. We've got a curfew, 10 o'clock
Yeah.
curfew. Yeah, now they're going to they want to put in a fee for people that aren't vaccinated. When you do your income taxes, you get charged extra on your income taxes if you're not vaccinated.
I've
So
never
I
eaten
don't,
at one
I'm
of
sure
them
that's going to go
restaurants
over
that
well.
make the
yeah, I
little
don't think he's
tiny
getting
gourmet
reelected.
foods.
I don't think Legault is going to get reelected. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, back to the movie. Like we said, that scene with the father, the Darius, and then you're already tearing up over that, and then that leads to the next scene, which is another gut wrenching scene, which I won't. I don't know if I'll. I don't think I want to say it. I don't know if we should say it. People are gonna watch it. I don't know if it's really a spoiler or a big twist or anything, but like they hit you twice, like in a row, with like gut wrenching scenes, and yeah, and man, it's and I was really surprised. I had like zero expectations for this movie going in. I went in really well. I knew a little bit because I've heard the chat and I saw Cookie commenting on it on Twitter here and there with people whenever they'd watch it. So I got a very basic idea. The only thing I got was no, it's not John Wick. So I knew it wasn't going to be like this big action, like busting skulls and breaking kneecaps and stuff. So I went in knowing it was going to be more of a dramatic role.
Yeah.
And man, it's
And I tried to warn everybody it's going to make you cry.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, and it was a fantastic, great recommendation. Like I know Johnny said he enjoyed it too before I watched it, so the both of you were like, "Yeah, man, Nick Cage is fantastic in this." So yeah, I saw it was on Amazon for 99-cent rental, and I was like, "Damn, I'm gonna watch it now." And it was it would have been worth just the regular rental price because it was a
hmm
fantastic movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have went and saw this in theater. I didn't know really anything about it. I just watched it because it was a Nick Cage film, and like I watch anything that comes out with him in it. Like I just enjoy his work, and like we said, I've been really enjoying his really over the top neo shamanist acting, but it was really great to see him return to form and actually just play like a stoic, broken human
hmm
character in a film, and just ow, just how powerful it was to see him. And just put people in their place that think that he doesn't have it anymore, in my opinion. He just proved everybody wrong with this film. The man
Uh,
is still has it, 100%.
Yeah.
I know exactly who Norton's talking about now. The Martin Picard. I know who he is. He had a cooking show as well. And okay, I know exactly who he is. Yeah, that dude, burly guy with a beard. He'd strap uh, a gas stove onto the back of his truck, and he'd drive around Quebec, stopping in these towns. He'd go down to the shore and pick seaweed right out of the ocean. Uh, he's the type of guy who cooks every single part of the animal, the heart, the tongue, and he'll keep the hoofs and he'll do like a presentation with the hoofs. Like this guy doesn't waste anything when it comes to culinary cooking. And yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about now. I was kind of mulling it over in my mind, and then boom, it hit me. Yeah, the dude is definitely wild. Like his show was great too. He had his little sous chef guy with him. They'd travel around the province, just stop in these places, unload it, like just in the middle of nowhere, unload their stove and hook it up and just start cooking. And it was a great show. And he's definitely, yeah, a wild chef, that guy. Yeah. Yeah. Good call, Dean, man. I hadn't thought about that guy in a while. So yeah, that's cool. Mm, yeah. I don't know if it's easy to find his cooking show, but it's definitely worth watching because yeah, the dude is out there. Like yeah, fantastic stuff.
I have to try and find it on YouTube or something.
Possibly, yeah. It's in
Maybe.
French. I don't know if it has subtitles. It's all French, so you might not understand much. But hey, although I don't know
Well,
if he did he put it on the Food Network. Maybe it's in English. I can't remember. I have a hard time because I'm bilingual. So if it's French or English, if it's been a while,
mm,
sometimes I don't remember if it was in French or English. So, but yeah, he's a fun guy. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's a good call, Dean. Yeah, people should go check that out. He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, that's right. Dean Dean likes the especially with his new books he got there from what was the Japanese artist that he got the art books from? I can't remember,
oh
but
God,
man, there was some wild
Shintaro
stuff.
that was
Kago.
wild.
Yeah, there was some
Yeah,
wild
Wild.
stuff in there, man. That's a beautiful book with some
Yeah.
fantastic pages in there, yeah.
yeah.
For
Shintaro
sure. Good
Kago's
stuff.
a total surrealist. So yeah, like so,
Mm, 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 mm. Mm. So
hopes.
I haven't kept up with like the awards circuit of like the Golden Globes, the Oscars, and all that. Has this movie been nominated for anything in any kind of prestigious award or anything like that?
I think he got a
Nick
Spirit
Cage
Award
got
for it.
nominated for something. I don't remember what it was though.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
They got some
because
indie nods and some winks and stuff. They definitely got some wreaths at awards for it and stuff, but I don't think it's gotten any mainstream attention
okay,
like it deserves, in my opinion. But
because
Yeah.
did the Golden Globes just go by?
I
Yeah.
don't pay
Last weekend.
attention.
It was last weekend. Okay, and it
Yeah.
didn't.
They didn't air it though.
Okay.
It was just kind of like this is who won.
Oh, okay,
So
okay, I see. Yeah, and I can't remember. Did I mention it off air, Johnny, that he got slated to direct the third part of A Quiet Place? The director, Michael Sarnowski.
He's too good to direct part threes of horror, bad horror franchises, man. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
actually feel bad for him, but good for him. He's getting a paid gig, but I wish that he
Yeah,
would
it's
make
work.
another art film like this. You know what I mean? This is
yeah,
Yeah.
something beautiful, not
but it's got big names, so you know how that is. You know, you got what's her name? Blunt,
yeah.
Emily
Emily
Blunt
Blunt,
isn't.
yeah.
She's in it. That's a pretty big name actress. So I mean,
Hmm.
it's an opportunity for him to get more exposure. If the movie, like, I don't hate those movies as much as a lot of other people. So I mean, we'll see. Maybe he's gonna fucking hit it out of the park with part three, and everyone will be like, part three is the best of all three. And like, if every part
This
could have
is
been as good
true.
as this one, you never know, man. He's if you go by what he did with Pig, because he wrote Pig as well with Vanessa Block was his co-writer and producer. So he wrote and directed Pig. So yeah, so that's quite an accomplishment because the story was fantastic and it was beautifully directed. So kudos to him.
Yeah, this is his first feature-length debut, which is incredible because he only did shorts before this, from what I saw, and to come out and have a first film that looks and is as good as this film does, and is as good as this film is, like, he should have a beautiful career in Hollywood, I would hope, because
Yeah.
he's got the openings for one.
A Pig prequel. I suppose you could do like documentary style where just follow the pig around and no, you never see
Just
Nicolas
the pig
Cage's
hanging out.
face.
Yes.
Yeah, you just see Nicolas Cage from the waist down, and it's all about the pig. And I'm sure Cage would probably take a role like that. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do it, man. I'm into it," you know?
Him teaching the pig how to look for the truffles, him just rolling around in the dirt with it, just
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
some actual, like, typical Nicolas Cage acting.
Freaking Dean. uh, hey, you should send him a link, get him on the show here. That's now.
I invite him all the time, and he says, "No, I'm nervous." That's what Cookie said, and she's here now. So,
Yeah, we're having
one
a great
day,
time.
That's all right. No one
yeah,
has excuses anymore.
Mhm.
yeah, you
That's right.
get on here
You're breaking down the walls.
straight
You're,
up.
yeah,
Paving the way.
yeah. There you go. Yeah. All it did was take a pig.
Yes.
You just got to find the right thing for each person, man. Like that's what I say. You find something someone loves, and they're just gonna get lost in it, and they'll forget about
Hmm.
being nervous or anxiety, and you just get caught up in talking about something you love and you're passionate about, and it just comes naturally. You know, it's so. Yeah, and man, we've been interacting quite a bit over the past year on Twitter, and you got a great sense of humor. You got great taste. So I was like, man, that's for sure. If ever we get a chance to have you on, I was like, we got to take the opportunity. And I was like, oh, I know how to
And this
hook
is
her.
it.
Yeah, I knew how to hook you. I was like, we're going to do an episode with Pig and we're going to get Lorraine on and she won't be able to say no. And you didn't even hesitate. I sent you a message. You're like, yeah, I'm in. I was like, oh shit, that was easy. I was really surprised,
Any excuse to
actually.
talk about this movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Any
great
excuse.
movie. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
And that wouldn't be me without a comic book recommendation. But coming off of this, if you enjoy this film, I highly recommend checking out a graphic novel by a person that we talk about a lot on this show, one Mr. James Stokoe. He did a graphic novel called Wonton Soup, which is kind of this weird space opera that's all about cooking, that kind of has these really great emotional cues to it, like this, that has its own weird little fight scenes that involve cooking, and it's a lot like this film. It's one of a kind, and it's very different. And if you are a fan of the culinary arts and you like to see things in a different light, I highly recommend checking out Wonton Soup by James Stokoe if you like this film.
Yeah, and
You
what
guys,
I
other
definitely will. Yeah.
other culinary books was Anthony Bourdain didn't he do like a horror book
yeah, he did
with
Hungry
Stoma?
Ghosts and he did Get
Mhm.
Jiro. He did two different
Yeah,
culinary graphic
and
novels that were both really fun.
yeah, I haven't read those, but I've heard very good things about them.
I particularly like
Wow.
Hungry Ghost, which is an anthology thing. He worked with a bunch of different artists, a couple manga guys. He did two strips with Paul Pope. I think Stoko did one with him in that too. It's a Dark Horse book. Yeah, Hungry Ghosts, which is really, really fun.
What comic was it I read where they drew Anthony Bourdain into it, like him. He was in a comic and he played himself. Like they had his character in a comic. And I can't remember what comic it was now. It was just a small part. Oh, that's gonna bug me now. I can't figure it out. I'm gonna think about that all night till it hits me. Anyway, if I figure it out, I'll leave it in the comments after when we
Okay.
after the show. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I got a kick out of it. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking hack and slash, but it wasn't hack and slash. But it was some silly kind of, I think, a horror book or something like that. Anyway, that he was in. So yeah.
But
So
yeah, that was Pig. Do you guys got any last words you want to say before we kind of button this episode up?
Watch this movie. It's on Hulu. It's
you guys,
widely available now. So
okay, you guys have it on Hulu. We don't have it anywhere yet. So, but you can still
on
rent it
Hulu now. I
off.
think as of November.
Okay. Here it's not available yet because we don't have Hulu in Canada, but you could still get it on rent it on Apple TV or Amazon through Amazon Prime. So you can rent it there, and I think it's still 99 cents. I think it's in the 99-cent section in the bargain section. So I mean, it's almost like getting it for free. So it's definitely worth it if you dig Nick Cage. This is a great Nick Cage movie. So like Lorraine said, man, go watch this movie. It's definitely worth your time. And I don't know how long the runtime was on it, but it didn't feel long at all. It never dragged. Like
I
for
think
something
it's
that,
just about a
yeah,
little over 90 minutes long. I think it's
okay.
only about an hour and a half. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
it's
It never
even
felt
two
like it
hours.
dragged. Yeah, it never felt like it dragged at all. Like the pacing was great. And yeah, so that's what I love about a movie. Like I know when I sit and watch a movie and I'm like, and I start looking like at the time and like, okay, they missed their mark in places, but that never happened once during this movie. Like the whole time I was engaged, the story drew me in and never let me get out of it. So yeah, kudos to this movie for that.
Yep. And you learn all kinds of neat things like Mount Hood's an active volcano, and most people from Portland, Oregon will never move to Seattle for some reason, which I found hilarious because it's such a dramatic scene between Amir and Robin, and then just like, yeah, but I'm never moving to Seattle. Yeah, fuck Seattle. Just like
Yeah.
that scene kills me so every time I watch it because
Yeah.
man, you really did need to get brought back up at that point, and I thought that little bit of humor worked perfectly. But like they were saying, man, like this movie, definitely check it out. If you're a Nick Cage fan, it's a must watch. If you hate Nicolas Cage, watch this film. He will impress you in this movie. It might
Yes.
change your mind about him. So yeah, regardless of how you feel about him as an actor, definitely still check this movie out. It is incredible. It's so
Fantastic
different than
film.
anything else you can watch that's out there right now.
Yeah.
But all right, this was a brand new episode of Buzz Bites, a product of Pink Buzz. We will be back tomorrow night to talk about Little Bird on Pink Spots. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that one. It's gonna be another kind of emotional-ish episode because we're gonna be talking about an emotional book. But Joey and I will make it as much fun as possible for you guys. And yeah, until then, take it easy, y'all.
Thanks for coming on, Lorraine, and take it
No
easy, everyone.
problem. Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.